Welcome to episode 16 of the Take Two podcast, where we ask ourselves, why don't we grab a drink and smoke a cigarette? I'm Kenny.
I'm Sam.
And today on the pod, we rank the Wes Anderson movies. Let's.
And we are ready to jump into episode 16, where we are ranking Wes Anderson's films in honor of his new release, The Phoenician Scheme. We are super excited. Wes Anderson is one of my all-time favorite directors. Like, favorite director, depending on the day of the week. Top 3 to 5 always and forever. I love him so much. So we are super excited, and we also have something to celebrate, don't we, Kenny?
Yeah, we do. Today, we can officially say that we have met our 25 subscriber mark. We have 27 subscribers on YouTube, so shoot off like
28 now. Look, 28. We just got
28.
We just got another one. They just keep going up by the second.
We are ascending into the stratosphere of
Yes.
YouTube. So we knew that this would eventually happen. There's no surprises here.
Yeah.
We are setting a new goal, though. So as we had said before, our first 25 subscribers whenever we do set up a Patreon, we'll get a free subscription for all of our like free premium content that we will somehow figure out how to produce. But
I'm willing to show some skin. Oh, sorry. What? Our new goal?
Yeah, lots of elbow action,
Yes.
I suppose. We have a new goal, though. We're not done yet. Even though we've reached this incredible milestone of tens of thousands of views on YouTube, actually, and 25 subscribers, we are now looking to double our subscribers.
Yeah.
So next goal being updated on the video is 50 subscribers.
And it's going to happen. So share with your friends. Make sure you like this video. Please comment your thoughts on this video, and just know, like Thanos, we are inevitable, and we will hit that 50 subscriber mark before week's end. That's
I like to
my
think
goal.
of us as a cryptocurrency where you really want to get in on the ground level.
You really do, because we will rug pull you. I mean, not you, the others, the suckers. Okay. Now we got to go into Wes Anderson. That's what people are here for. For those of you who don't know who Wes Anderson is, he is known as his nickname is the Crown Prince of indie film. He is unanimously considered the most consistently best indie director out there. He has probably the most, I would argue, unique style of any director. You could see a single scene of his and you would know exactly who the director is. Even some of my other like top 5 directors like Christopher Nolan, Martin Scorsese, you could make that case for them, but they also have scenes that could be shot by almost anyone where you'd say, oh, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Wes Anderson style is just unmatched as far as its uniqueness, which is why I'm going to be ranking the movies based on quality, but Kenny is going to have his own unique set of parameters when ranking these films. So Kenny, why don't you lay that out?
Yep. Today, dear listener, we're changing it up a little bit. As you can see, he's a Wes Anderson savant, a sommelier, a super fan. I'm trying to think of more assonance that I can provide to just how much you love Wes Anderson. And so Sam is taking center stage here. He has seen every single Wes Anderson movie twice or thrice over,
or 10 times.
And I am a budding Wes Anderson fan. I've seen 7 of his movies to date, and today I will actually be ranking these movies based off of whimsy, from least whimsical to most whimsical, the ones I've seen. So I've seen 7 of Wes Anderson's films. Sam has seen all but Phoenician Scheme, so that is 11, I believe. And so that we're changing it up a little bit. It's going to be unique. We're probably going to end up with pretty different lists. I'm really excited, Sam. I'm really excited to see if there are spots in our list that we actually intersect both with whimsy and
It would,
quality.
it would be, they're just the exact same. All my ranks are just based on whimsy, and I didn't realize it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing this in honor of Phoenician Scheme being released, which we are going to do an episode on Wednesday. We're going to do a review and deep dive of the movie. So go watch the Phoenician Scheme if you haven't seen it. And if you've never seen a Wes Anderson movie, maybe watch one or two before going and seeing the Phoenician Scheme, or you'll probably be a little jolted because he has a really unique style and a lot of people, it takes them by surprise a little bit. So without further ado, I will start with my 11th ranked Wes Anderson movie. So bottom of my list, we're not counting Phoenician Scheme. For me, it's going to be his most recent movie, Asteroid City. Asteroid City has the Wes Anderson look to it for about 80% of the film, and it has the Wes Anderson vibes, but it's almost too melancholy. It's very almost, it has nihilistic themes, which a lot of his movies do have that, but it's usually some dark comedy, and there's some dark comedy in this, but it's honestly, I think this film is too existential. I think it's too meta. It's not Wes Anderson at his purest. And you could see the step to Asteroid City being taken in The French Dispatch. He started going really meta in The French Dispatch, where he abandoned just a full hour and a half film, 2-hour film, and went to 3 short stories in the film and did one in black and white and just started messing with a lot of meta stuff. And you could almost tell, you're like, Wes Anderson, are you getting bored of your own style? Are you trying to push your boundaries? And you can see the boundaries get pushed all the way in Asteroid City. And to me, a lot of it doesn't hit, especially towards the end. And I even found a little bit of it sort of cringy and just over the top, which is such a bummer because he uses the same actors and actresses in basically all of his movies, or at least consistently in multiple of them. Anyone who sees Wes Anderson's like that. He likes his actors. It's filled with great actors and it's filled with some funny moments. But this movie, of all of his movies, made me just not wanting to go back and rewatch it. I didn't feel very satisfied and just left me just a little bummed out. So Asteroid City is last for me. And honestly, I wouldn't really recommend it to anyone. Like, I have a buddy who had never seen a Wes Anderson film. Asteroid City came out. He was like, oh, I'm going to watch it because it's Wes Anderson. You say you like him. I hadn't seen it yet. He watched it. We watched it around the same time. And I was like, I didn't really like it. Did you watch it? And he goes, we turned it off halfway through. And I was like, dang, like, I get it. Like, if that's your first introduction to Wes Anderson, I'm sorry. So that's all I'll say on Asteroid City.
Yeah, I have Asteroid City ranked as 6 out of 7 on the whimsy scale. I actually would say that a lot of Wes Anderson movies have a melancholy, like, it's both a combination of whimsy and melancholy, in my opinion, where, you know, like if a sad boy acoustic writer made a movie, it would look a lot like a Wes Anderson film where everyone kind of talks in this very specific way. And the music is always like a little bit sad. And the background, like a lot of what Wes Anderson does really well is he makes pretty sad things kind of funny. You know, it's not in like a dark comedy sort of way where he's not grotesque, but definitely in a sense of like, oh yeah, there's always like a tragedy in all of these stories that brings it together. I do agree that Asteroid City, you know, he's kind of coming out of his short series that he did with Netflix right before Asteroid City, like the Incredible Life of Henry Sugar,
Right.
and those kind of like short anthologies, to where it is, even though a lot of his movies are, whoa, lost my camera. What happened? There we go. We're back.
Okay.
Okay. A lot of his films can be considered like a little bit abstract. I think that would probably be fair to say, whereas very much like an abstract piece of art. Asteroid City is like, you're right. It kind of it goes into the stratosphere both in a literal and figurative sense. Then it's kind of hard for some of the viewership, including myself, to kind of keep track of. Still enjoyed it. The style is still very fun. The actors are incredible. Um, but yeah, number six for
So
me.
yeah, number six for Kenny. And just to play off something Kenny said, for those of you who do watch Wes Anderson, so his he writes everything really funny. So constant themes in his films are he has his kids and teenagers act and speak like adults, and he has his adults act and speak like children. And it creates a really funny dynamic through all of his films. And there is a seriousness and like Kitty said, just like funny, but just a weird, quirky mix of funny and tragedy all the time. And one more thing about Wes Anderson is, and this movie also hits color really well. I don't think it's very iconic compared to some of his others, but almost every shot he does is like a piece of art. He is so particular with all of his shots and his colors and his costumes that you could literally take a picture of basically anything, any one of his films, and it could be hung in a gallery somewhere, and you'd be like, wow, what is going on here? And so, anyways, just a little background on Wes Anderson. Okay, I'll move on to my 10th favorite movie. This is one of the only two films I haven't seen multiple times. So I haven't seen Asteroid City multiple times. I haven't seen Isle of Dogs multiple times. Now, Isle of Dogs is my 10th ranked movie. I liked it. I just didn't love it. I think I need to see it again. And let me make another little pitch on Wes Anderson. His movies are like a fine wine, okay? Every time you watch a Wes Anderson movie, you will like it more and more and more and more. There's so much detail and there's so much wittiness and clever dialogue and so many dynamics at play. The first time I watch any Wes Anderson movie, I leave very similarly feeling like, like I liked that. Like that was kind of weird. Like I don't know if I loved it, but like I liked it. I watched it again. I'm like, okay, that was really good. I watched it again. I'm like, this might be one of the best movies I've ever seen. And those are his films. So like, if you watch Wes Anderson, and I know that's really tough for a lot of people. A lot of people are like, I just want to be entertained, punched in the mouth with Hollywood and explosions, and I just want all the entertainment right away. I don't need something I can rewatch a bunch. Wes Anderson might not be for you in that case, but I challenge you, if he's not, to watch a few of his films 2 or 3 times. Watch one, wait a week, watch it again. Wait a month, watch it again, and then tell me how you feel. So real quick, I'll just say Isle of Dogs, a little forgettable for me. Liked it. It's a stop motion claymation movie, which he's done twice, and it's all right. So Kenny, where's Isle of Dogs for you?
Isle of Dogs for me is number 5. I thoroughly enjoy his animation style. There are 3 movies that I can think of. One of them is technically a live action movie, but uses a lot of animation, and that's the Life Aquatic. And then obviously Fantastic Mr. Fox, which was my introduction into Wes Anderson. A fantastic introduction, the stop motion animation. Isle of Dogs is also an interesting style because it's more drawn out. It inherits a lot of that Japanese style that he's taking on, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought that the movie has tons of whimsy because it's literally about an island of stray dogs and this boy who's trying to like find companionship in this dog, and the hijinks that ensues. This is, even though it's kind of lower on my list of whimsy, this one actually is one of my favorites. I feel like, to your point, Sam, I think that some people feel the need to love Wes Anderson, and I think that Wes Anderson is a very like bold artist, which means because he's so bold, it's okay also to not like his style because he's being very direct with it. You know, he doesn't water anything down. He's like, this is exactly what I'm going to make, and that's something that is respected, and I think that's why he's a very respected filmmaker. But also, it's okay to not necessarily like all of his movies because it's like, hey, if the style is not for you, then it's not for you. And guess what? You are going to get a lot of style in these movies. So Isle of Dogs is really great. It's really sweet. This is one of the movies that, you know, if we're thinking about, oh, what movies would my wife Jenna really like? Jenna would really love Isle of Dogs just because of like how like warm-hearted it is, and the style is really fun, and the art is really fun. Again, I mean, the art's going to be great in all of these movies. All of them are. There's a reason why AI can so strongly like make a Wes Anderson film and you can recognize it right away because of his very unique and individual style.
100%. Okay, so my next film, this is going to be number 9 for me. And I like this film. I've seen it 3 times. And I really like it. And I always want to love it, but I just can't get there with it. Is the Darjeeling Limited. And it's about these 3 brothers, and they're on this adventure overseas, and they like all Wes Anderson movies are kind of a mix of adventure and misadventure. And these 3, the film just, it doesn't fully come home for me all the time, but you can really feel him starting to come into his own artistically in this film. And this was the first film I felt like that happened for him, where you really start to get these like stills and these colors and just max quirkiness in the film. Mm-hmm. And so I really like the Darjeeling Limited. Again, I wouldn't recommend it to someone as a first viewing Wes Anderson movie, but it's really entertaining, right? It's got Owen Wilson, Luke Wilson, Adrian Brody. I mean, like, and those are people who are in a lot, if not all of his movies. And he just provides great cast, right? So like
Bill Murray in it too.
Bill Murray, right, who's in like all of his movies. You're never going to be disappointed with the acting or the dynamic between characters. I just don't think the story comes fully home as many of the others. So Darjeeling Limited for me, number 9.
Man, that's really interesting. So if I were ranking this list straight, I actually think Darjeeling Limited would be my number 2. I've recently watched it this past week, so take Kenny's recency bias into account here.
Oh, we do.
But this I thought
you were ranking them on whimsy.
I am. This movie is also my number 4 on whimsy. So we haven't hit my number 7 yet, but we're tracking in order here. And this movie I find to be like quite whimsical, and it's whimsical in the same way that it's paired with melancholy. It's these 3 brothers who've come together after their father's death. I actually think there could be a very abstract, I would love to like read a paper on this, like a very abstract viewing of this movie where you're seeing it as like an adaptation of Brothers Karamazov, just because you have the 3 brothers of like, you know, mind, body, and soul kind of being interpreted, and like their father passing away and like the broken family relationship. I think that's very interesting. I have 2 older brothers, and so like there's kind of that interesting nature too of like 3 adult brothers like kind of like reconvening in life, even though these brothers have been estranged and I'm not estranged from my brothers. I thoroughly liked it. It probably does hit a little bit of that personal note for me. This movie is also higher on my list for whimsy because of what you said, Sam, about the previous, like the older Wes Anderson movies, you don't quite get the same aesthetic, right? It is Darjeeling Limited where you're like, oh, hey, here's like those yellows and those oranges and those pastel blues that he loves to bring in. That's where these are like starting to kind of like take place. And it's interesting that it's like, I mean, the story of the Darjeeling Limited is these 3 brothers who meet in India to go on like a spiritual journey, and it's like that's the joke is like, oh, there's these 3 white dudes, you know, going on this like spiritual journey and like praying at all these temples, and like they clearly don't understand the culture or anything. I found it really funny. I really thought Owen Wilson plays like the quintessential older brother where he's like, we're going to do this, this, and this. I'm very type A. I just like the hijinks between the 3 brothers of like each of them being like, oh, don't tell the other brother that I told you this, that this and this happened. Like that interconnection was actually really believable, even though those guys look, Adrian Brody looks nothing like Owen Wilson. At the end of the movie, I was like, oh, these guys are totally related. I can totally buy Adrian Brody as the little brother of Owen Wilson. And then Luke Wilson?
Yep, Luke Wilson, yep.
A guy who shows up in a lot of his movies. I mean, all these. Adrian Brody, I can only think of him in that one movie. Is he in others?
He's in the Grand Budapest Hotel. And trying to think.
Oh yeah.
What else?
That's right. He's the son. He's Dimitri.
Yep. I think that might be it. He might voice someone in Isle of Dogs as well, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah. But Yeah, Darjeeling Limited is my number 4. I really, really, really like this movie. The music is super fun in this movie. The hijinks of them having this like the spiritual way. They're like, there's this scene in the movie where they're like doing this ritual with this peacock feather, and they're like all going around like speaking in gibberish. There's a fire, like they're super high on pain meds, and then they all come back together, and none of them like fully understood how they were supposed to go about the ritual. And so they all did something different with their peacock feathers, and then the older brother's like, "You all did it wrong. You didn't read the instructions." And it's just like,
Yeah,
it's really funny.
it has some great scenes in it for sure. And I still really like it. Like I said, I've seen it 3 times, really good. And guess what? I would watch it again tonight. From this point on, like I'm like, you could put on any of these movies once a week for me, and I could watch them and thoroughly enjoy them. So next, number 8 for me is going to be Wes Anderson's original debut, Bottle Rocket. So Bottle Rocket is actually based. So he went to school. He was friends with Owen Wilson and Luke Wilson. Okay. And this movie, they basically made, he made a movie, I believe it was in high school, not a movie. It was a short film. And the short film is basically, it was like, I think I've seen it, it's just like 13 minutes or something. And it was it's basically the center of this movie. And so this is debut. And then I think, they're all from like a wealthy enough place where they got funding. They were able to actually fund their first movie, Bottle Rocket. And I'm honestly so happy Wes Anderson was able to continue making films after this, because Bottle Rocket is a really strange movie. It's really strangely paced. It's really funny though. It's really quirky. It is like, imagine a really, really quirky version of Ocean's 11, right? The whole movie is based around Owen Wilson and Luke Wilson, and they want to be these great heist people. And James Caan's in the movie, and like one of them Owen Wilson gets out of prison, and he's like, I've got a plan. It's going to be a great heist, whatever. And the whole movie is them just trying to like do this heist, and it's just a disaster. And the whole movie's it's really, really funny. It doesn't really, it's the first time, obviously, it's for me that we get some interesting colors from Wes Anderson, but we're not really getting the stills, but we're still getting really quirky characters. The second half of the movie drags into a weird place for a while. It's like at a motel, sort of in the middle of nowhere, and Owen Wilson starts to have, or not Owen Wilson, Luke Wilson starts to have this romantic affair with a maid who can't speak English. I don't know. It's kind of quirky, but
sounds like a few things that get brought into later movies. We have a heist.
Yes, yeah.
We have Luke Wilson falling in love with like a maid type character.
Yes. So it's honestly still really fun. Owen Wilson, in my opinion, everyone's fine. Everyone's good in the movie, but Owen Wilson really carries the energy of the film, and he does an amazing job. So I've seen Bottle Rocket, I think 3 times, really like it. So if you want to start chronologically with Wes Anderson, know that his films get better from Bottle Rocket. But it's a really bold first movie, and I'm just happy he was able to continue making film, because I could definitely see a movie like this flopping and being like, what were we thinking? Why did we fund this movie?
Yeah. So Sam, do you think that we might be an Owen Wilson first podcast? Do you realize how many Owen Wilson movies that we've watched together, between like all of his movies with Ben Stiller?
It's very true.
Like all of these Wes Anderson movies, we've talked about Owen Wilson 4 or 5 times now.
Maybe he's underrated. If they ever grant my wish and allow him to play Spider-Man, then we will become an Owen Wilson Spider-Man first podcast.
Yeah, there you go. It's like the 3 top actors that we've talked about the most are probably Owen Wilson, Tobey Maguire, and then Topher Grace. Topher Grace showed up a lot very early.
He's a great guy. Do you have Bottle Rocket on your list?
Bottle Rocket is one of the movies I haven't seen.
Okay,
actually,
that's
I didn't
totally
get around
fine.
to that one.
That's totally fine. It's worth watching. I'm number 8 for me, so I'll move on. Number 7 is going to be The French Dispatch with our boy Timothy Chalamet and Owen Wilson and Bill Murray and just a bunch of people. And as always, The French Dispatch is 3 short films rolled into one, and it centers around a newspaper, and the editor has passed away, and that's sort of the crux. And we're really just told these 3 short stories, and they're all very different from one another. The second one is like this French Revolution sort of thing happening with Timothy Chalamet. That was probably my favorite story. The first one has Benicio del Toro, and it's a prison person who's an artist and can paint really well. He paints his like guard nude, and he's this amazing artist. Oh, Adrian Brody is in The French Dispatch as well because he wants to buy and sell his paintings. And then the third part of The French Dispatch is really interesting. It is this child gets kidnapped by like Edward Norton and this group of, I think it's Edward Norton and this group of like bandits, and they want to hold him for hostage. And there's a big chase scene. And this is the first time, besides the fact that we're watching 3 short films in a movie, first off, no one else could get away with that. Like, this is when you know you're almost jumping the shark or playing with house money, in that Wes Anderson, if this were your first movie, you would not get the benefit of the doubt. If someone else made this movie, everyone would be like, what the F was that? It's not going to do well at the box office. But you're getting the benefit of the doubt because of all the great movies you've made. And it's still a really good movie, but it's kind of all over the place. No one goes to the movies to watch 3 short films. I'm sorry. But I still really liked it because I'm a big Wes Anderson fan. But the end of the third one, they're on a chase, and the whole film turns animated, 2D animated for like minutes. And it's like, there's an explosion, and you're just like, oh, this is kind of funny. But you're also like, dude, are you like almost taking this like a little too unseriously? Like at this point, like I can tell you're really going meta here, like jumping between color, black and white, 2D like cartoons. You could tell this was his descending step into Asteroid City. And I'll say this, what the title and what the advertising has been for Phoenician Scheme, which just got released, has been, it's his best movie since the Grand Budapest Hotel. Okay. And that's probably a good advertising point, because since the Grand Budapest Hotel, nothing has gotten up to the Grand Budapest Hotel since that film. I like other films more than the Grand Budapest Hotel, but they came prior to the Grand Budapest Hotel. So hopefully he gets back to his roots in Phoenician Scheme. And that's what I'll say about French Dispatch. Still good, but it's not a classic Wes Anderson film.
Yeah. He is someone that, even though he has such a distinct style, I think I can sense that he is pushing against that so much, because like it is because of his style that he's considered, like you said, the crown prince of indie film, where it's like, oh my gosh, everyone like associates Wes Anderson with indie film. Like, oh, all indie films, if you don't watch a lot of the movies, you might be like, oh, they all kind of look this way. They're all like very vibey, I guess is a way you could describe a lot of these movies. And I can see that he seems to kind of like, he rubs up against that in a way that he doesn't like. Like, he doesn't like the way that he is being put into a box.
Definitely recently,
and I think that,
for sure.
And I think that it's very much like he's a very strong Enneagram 4, right? Shocker. An indie filmmaker like really wants to like be unique and continue to do different things. And so he's pushing himself kind of away from doing that to kind of redefine himself yet again, so that people can stop mimicking him, is kind of how it seems to me. And that's the sense that I got from French Dispatch. I started watching the movie and I'm like, wait, hold on, what's happening? Why is the second part of this movie happen? Like, why does it not get all tied together? Because like the different anecdotes and stuff that happens in a lot of his movies, but it always converges back in. And in this sense, and there's always a frame narrative too, right? Like every single Wes Anderson movie, like in Life Aquatic, it's literally you watching the making of this documentary. Grand Budapest Hotel is a frame narrative within a frame narrative of the story that happened 50 years ago, being told by someone who had heard the story, who is now telling it again in his old age.
Right.
It's like you have a lot of these. Or Fantastic Mr. Fox, the frame narrative is, hey, there's actually a book, Fantastic Mr. Fox, that you can go and read. And he kind of pushes that to a new limit of, hey, frame narrative, the editor dies, and here are like the three different columnists that have their different stories. I'm with you. This one is near the bottom. I never saw. I actually gave up on this movie the first time.
So there you go.
And
I think look, just the fact that you gave up on this first time you watched it, right? You have Asteroid City. I know multiple people have given up on that. French Dispatch. I think like you give up on that, and I could see a lot of people. It's in that range of like, wow, dude, like this is a little too meta. Like, and if people don't know who you are, they're not going to give you the benefit of the doubt.
Right. Yeah, so that's why I don't have it actually on my list. It was a movie I quit on. It is a movie that I do want to go around and finish. I think I'm going to do that this week.
It's worth watching. I've watched it twice. Like all Wes Anderson movies, I liked it more the second time around. So like it warmed up on me, and I think it helps knowing what you're getting into with that one. Also, before I move on to my next one, I'll say real quick, that's just a great point you made, Kenny, about people mimicking him. I watch a lot of indie films. I love indie movies. I love recommending indie movies to people that are really good, and people come back and be like, that was weird, I didn't like it. And I'm like, okay, just go watch Mission Impossible. Like, whatever. Like,
nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with
that.
We
love Mission Impossible.
Nothing wrong with that. All I'm saying is like, yeah, Mission Impossible is like, you know, a Jose Cuervo, whatever. And this is going to be like, a Wes Anderson film is going to be like a wine from like Napa Valley from 1920 or something. I don't actually think that exists, but
Boo.
yeah.
Boo California wines.
Okay, boo California. I meant somewhere else.
Italian wines.
But all I'll say is like, I think you make a great point about, I've seen so many indie films where you can tell people are just trying to mimic or grasp some sort of Wes Anderson style in their films, and that he's been so influential. So I just want to say that was a great point. Move on to number 6 for me, and I believe this was his second film that he made. Let me just double check. Yes, and that is Rushmore. And Rushmore is so funny. It is so funny. And it's actually he either shot it at the school he went to, or it's based off the school he went to or something. And it's super meta, right? It's about Jason Schwartzman plays the main character, and he basically falls in love with a teacher at the school. And it's like this like prep school, this high school prep school. And Jason Schwartzman is basically a jack of all trades, where he's not good at anything, but he's involved in everything, and everyone knows who he is. And he's just really bold, and he falls in love with a teacher, and he's being he looks up to Bill Murray as a mentor, and Bill Murray is giving him advice, and then Bill Murray also falls in love with the teacher, and they have sort of a hilarious love triangle. And it's just such a funny movie. And like you mentioned earlier, you can see so many parts of this film integrate into later films, where he was like, ooh, I really liked this part from this film, and I know how to do it better now in a later film. So I love Bottle Rocket. I love the colors. It's kind of these like deep greens, and you get this school vibe, this like upscale vibe. And Jason Schwartzman just like steals the show. He's amazing in it. So love Rushmore.
Another Wes Anderson muse in Jason Schwartzman.
100%.
It's always interesting kind of watching. Like, Wes Anderson has worked with all of the best actors. Most of the best actors.
Any actor would kill to be in any Wes Anderson movie.
Yeah, it's why you can get a movie like Asteroid City that costs almost nothing, and you have half of
Hollywood's A-listers there, right? I remember a long time ago when Inception was released, and Leonardo DiCaprio was before the movie, he's on the red carpet, and he was being asked about it, and his response was, if Chris Nolan comes to you and says, I have a role that I wrote for you in this movie, you say yes without question. And the same thing goes for Wes Anderson. Any of these people are like, you know, Scarlett Johansson was in Asteroid City, right? And it's like, she is a prestigious, beautiful, really great actress. But you know what she's been doing for the last 10 years? Playing friggin' Black Widow. And she's a really good actress. And so when someone calls up and is like, you want to make a real movie? She's like, yes, I'm in. So
right. Yeah. She's a great example of that too. Cause I think if memory serves, she either took an incredible pay cut or she didn't get paid to be in Asteroid City
Right.
because of that very reason. Like the same woman who rightfully sued Marvel because they pushed her movie to direct to streaming like right away in Black
Right.
Widow and like cut a lot of the potential money she could have made. She chose to do this other movie with some dude for free, and
Right.
it's because that dude was Wes Anderson.
Yeah. So Rushmore is 6 for me. Is that one on your list, or have you?
No,
Okay.
it's. I think that we've hit almost all the ones I haven't seen now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you would really like that one. So number 5 for me. So we're getting into this territory for me. All these movies are 9 out of 10s or 10 out of 10s for me. These are all S tier quintessential Wes Anderson movies. I don't care what order you watch these in. I have my preference on what I think is best, but if you had these completely interchangeable, I would not care. They are all amazing. So number 5 for me is going to be Fantastic Mr. Fox, starring George Clooney as the Fox. And similar thing, I believe I've watched it twice, maybe 3 times. First time I watched it, I was like, that was pretty good. Claymation, like that was quirky and fun. Second time I watched it, I believe I've watched it 3 times. Second time I watched it, I was like, that is one of the best movies I've ever seen. And it's quirky and funny and witty and colorful and beautiful and sad and awesome. And I loved it. So I think George Clooney, he couldn't have picked a better person to play the Fox. He does an amazing job. And the animation, the claymation is amazing. And that's all I'll say about Fantastic Mr. Fox, is I'm talked too much already, but it's an amazing movie.
Yeah. Fantastic Mr. Fox comes in at number 2 for me in terms of like its level of whimsy, based on a children's novel done in a claymation stop motion animation style, which right there I could stop and be like, name something more whimsical than that, and you'd have a really hard time. Also, George Clooney brings his charisma into this with his like, there's like, all these weird things that happen. He's like like these whistles.
I could do
and
that 100 times a day. After I watch that movie, all I want to do is do that 1,000 times.
one of my roommates in college, he would always do that thing where he would like snap, finger gun you, and wink. Just like Fantastic Mr. Fox does. It is about George Clooney plays Mr. Fox and his family, and he comes from a life of crime. And when he finds out that his wife is pregnant, he leaves the life of crime, and he gets into he's trying to make it straight, go the straight and narrow. Tries to move into this. He dreamed about moving into this house that's inside of this tree that's being sold to him by like a badger. Again, there's all these woodland animals and all that sort of stuff, and he isn't able to afford moving into the house, or I can't even remember. Is it his newspaper? He runs a newspaper and his newspaper's crumbling. Anyway, he's like, he's down on his luck a little bit, and he's like, okay, I gotta do one last job.
One last
and the one
heist.
last job is stealing from these 3 weird food moguls.
Which
like
is so Kenny, which is so funny, right? Because we've talked
Right.
about Steven Soderbergh. Our favorite Steven Soderbergh movie is Ocean's 11. What is George Clooney doing in Ocean's 11? Oh, he's robbing 3 banks at once. Oh, what's he doing in this? He's robbing 3 farmhouses at once.
Yes. It's like just making a very, very strong joke. His son in particular, I find to be like,
oh my
the
gosh,
height of whimsy, because he has this crush on this other small fox.
and what's his name? What's his name? It's such a funny name.
Well, the
son
nephew's name is Christopherson.
Yo, the nephew's name, Christopherson. I love that. And he's
Yeah.
jealous of Christopherson.
Yeah,
Christopherson's such a funny
like,
name.
I think he's just called Son. I don't actually know if he has a name. I'd have to check.
I love how jealous he
But
is of Christopherson.
he's so jealous of him, and like this girl that he has a crush on has a crush on Christopherson, because Christopherson like does yoga and is really good at like the really weird sports ball game that Mr. Fox invented that they now play at this little
that's
forest
so
animal
funny.
school. It is so fun. The music is incredible. This is like, again, Wes Anderson taking a step away. He had never done this kind of animation style. He toys with it a little bit, I think, the first time. So Isle of Dogs comes after
Yes.
Fantastic Mr. Fox. So Isle of Dogs is him returning to this style. Life Aquatic, there's a lot of like the fish in that movie are
Yeah,
kind of this kind of animated style, but it's a live action movie. And then Fantastic Mr. Fox is like a full on animation movie. This would be, if I were to recommend a single movie for people to like dip their toes into Wes Anderson, it would be this movie. I showed this movie to my wife Jenna. This was I think her first step into Wes Anderson, and she absolutely adored it. It's a great family movie. It's incredibly funny. They always talk about how like they have all these like really, they're talking about not cussing, but all the cussing is
right.
like these like really
Oh,
random nothing words.
that's so
That
funny.
is just it is so funny. It is so whimsical. The colors are great. The colors are very much like the Hundred Acre Forest,
Pastels,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
think and talking about viewership, we've talked about, oh, maybe don't watch this one first. Maybe this is a good entry point. If you have the stomach for it, if you can trust us and trust people over time that have said Wes Anderson's a great director, to me, I think the best viewing experience for him in particular, and I would not say this for most directors, but I would say for him, if you can watch them chronologically, I do, because I've watched them out of order, right? I didn't get that experience. And I do think there would be something so fun and valuable in getting to watch his evolution as a director from Bottle Rocket
mhm.
to Asteroid City and say, oh wow, I can see the change here where he's growing here, and you can feel the highs and the lows and what's happening. So yeah,
Yes.
if you haven't watched and you can watch chronologically, like go give it a test. That would be awesome. Okay, my number 4 movie. I've probably seen this movie, I don't know, 4 or 5 times. I love it. I think it's so funny. This is the first film his he it's not as much as Darjeeling Limited where you get to really see his full style come through, but it's one step before that. And I would argue it's his first step onto the big motion picture, the blockbuster theater a little bit, is the Royal Tenenbaums. I absolutely love this movie. Ben Stiller, Owen Wilson, Luke Wilson, Gwyneth Paltrow, just like going off the top of my head, Gene Hackman just like steals every scene he's in this movie.
Hmm.
He plays Royal. And this movie is basically like all Wes Anderson movies, it's just a really dysfunctional family, right? And Royal is this guy who's out of money, down on his luck, who's separated and ignored his family for years, but now he's out of money and he wants to get back into their lives just for his own emotional sake and maybe somewhere to stay financially. And they all hate him and they're like, no. And then he tells them that he has cancer. And
Yeah.
so
He's a
that's
con
his in. Oh
artist.
yeah, he's a con artist. He says he has cancer. That's how he gets his in back into the family. He's lying, of course, he doesn't have cancer. And it has maybe like some of the darkest stuff of all of his films,
Mhm.
like some really heavy scenes, like some like, some suicidal stuff going on, some almost incestual, but not incestual relationships. Like he
Oh, yeah.
plays with some stuff. But it's so funny. It's so good. Every line in this movie is so good. And I'll get into this later, but I used to teach when I was in high school a small unit on indie film. And so obviously we would cover Wes Anderson and we would use a lot of the dialogue from this film as examples of witty and clever dialogue. So this is his first ascension. Ben Stiller's hilarious in the movie. The tracksuits are bar none. If
Hmm.
I could own one and wear one, I would every day. So number 4, The Royal Tenenbaums for me.
Yeah. This movie is actually the bottom of my list in terms of whimsy,
Yeah.
partially because of what you said. It is heavy. It is him. All Wes Anderson movies, I feel like, deal with this concept of estrangement or just a messy family. Like there's always, and it's in this movie in particular, and like anytime he deals with a family dynamic, all of the kids are like savants, right? Like one of them was he ends up suing his father out of like all this money and property because he's like a great banker, and another one's a great writer, and all of these things. The movie didn't work for me like it has worked for so many people. This movie is like very highly touted, and it's just a movie that I don't maybe like you said, Sam, maybe I'd like it more the second time around. I didn't really enjoy this movie. I do think Gene Hackman is incredible, and I do think that Ben Stiller is great in this movie. The tracksuits and his sons are really funny, but it's definitely not whimsical. It still has the color, like the whimsical color, but you're dealing with a lot of really hard stuff. Ben Stiller's wife dies in a house fire, and now Ben Stiller carries around all this anxiety that's played for comic effect, but he has all this anxiety about losing his kids. And so he has them always like dressed up in tracksuits, ready to like, and like is always running these fire drills. It just hits a lot heavier. And then you actually do think for a little bit, you're almost convinced that Royal has cancer and that he is actually going to die, and they have like all of the estranged family has to wrestle with like, oh man, like he is like our father and we're trying to come back together. So not a very whimsical movie.
No, I agree. I would
yeah.
definitely, I totally respect this being on the bottom of your list for whimsicalness, but I would also recommend going and watching this perhaps a second and third time because it does get better and better. Okay, awesome. So we're gonna move to number 3. Okay, this is a lot of people's favorite. It's my 3rd favorite, so I'm right up there, right? With probably consensus for a lot of people. This for me is going to be the Grand Budapest Hotel. I think this is a fantastic movie. Like you were mentioning earlier, it's a story being told within a story being told within a story. It is really fun. The lead actor, Voldemort or whatever his actor's name is, Ray Fiennes is absolutely fantastic. He carries this movie. He's unbelievable. Everyone in the film is so great. If you love fantastic hotels, if you love prison escapes, if you love bakery items, if you love assassins, if you love downhill ski chases, this movie is for you. It is amazing. I love it so much. I think I don't love it as much as my top 2, but I know this is a lot of people's favorite movie, and I have no problem with that. It's such a great movie. I think, it has one of the best names. I think a lot of people are attracted to the name, the Grand Budapest Hotel. It's a very cool name.
One of the greatest, covers, too.
Beautiful
at least of, like,
cover.
the modern era, once we get away from illustrated, like, you just have that still image
the
of
pink
it's all dark, it's very bohemian, but it's in
yes.
pinks and purples, and it's just one of the great I keep wanting to call it album covers. That's the wrong word. What am I looking for? Poster covers.
Yeah,
it's one of the great posters of the modern
really
era.
Is. He nails that. The whole film is art. It's fantastic. It's great. So number 3, Grand Budapest Hotel.
Yeah, I also have Grand Budapest as number 3 on my list of whimsy. It is so funny. Ray Fiennes plays this hotel manager who everyone looks up to, and he's really good at his job. But part of the reason why he's in this job is he's also a gigolo. Is probably
a cougar
not the right
gigolo,
word.
like a really old one.
Yeah, he's very popular with the older women.
Yes.
How about we put it that way? And it all comes down to he is bequeathed Boy with Apple.
Yes.
It is number 3 on the list because of the level of whimsy, where this old woman who either he is kind of in the early parts of the movie, it's very unclear whether or not he's actually like seducing these people to gain something from him, or if he just like is genuinely into older women and they're into him. It's a little bit unclear, honestly, probably through the entire movie, and that's part of the really funny nature of it. Is he talks about how things age as fine wine, and how like the lady who passed away, the lobby boy is like, she's 84, and he's like, I've had older, and he just like he has this like this era about him that's really funny. His sexuality is even a little bit like to question, which is which is played to pretty comic effect. But he goes to a hearing basically because this lady who's 84 passes away, and he wants to go pay his respects, or he says he wants to go pay his respects, and he ends up going into the will reading. And in the will reading, you walk in, you're like, oh my gosh, this lady is going to bequeath him her entire estate, like, which is this amazing German castle, and like just millions and millions of there's I don't even remember what the fake currency is, but no, she ends up instead just bequeathing him this one specific painting, Boy with Apple, and you're like, wait, what? Everyone's gonna go to war over this,
Right,
like,
and everyone wants
what
this
would
really valuable painting.
really wants this valuable painting, but you look at the painting and you're like, why?
Yeah.
And that's kind of, I think that he's kind of like poking a joke at it of, hey, just because everyone says something is art doesn't necessarily mean that it's like incredible. Yes, it may still be priceless, but is it good? And you look at the painting, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with the painting, but it's like, there are so many other things. Like, he even makes a joke of like, the painting, it's priceless. Everything around here is just worthless junk. And you're looking around at like the most beautiful library you've ever
Right.
seen, with like all of these like heads of extinct animals and
Yeah,
stuff. Like, it's ridiculous. And like the hijinks in the movie is also, it's like peak hijinks, and it's also peak his style. Like, when you think of Wes
yes.
Anderson's style, you are thinking of Grand Budapest Hotel. The Grand Budapest Hotel, like the style too, and the way that hotels are shown, like, you start seeing it around the same time. There's these other movies that almost try to mimic it. Like,
Right.
have you ever seen the movie Life of Pi?
Yeah.
There's a scene where he's in the pool at Pising, and it's the same idea, where it's this beautiful like pastel hotel, and it has a significant impact. And when you think of the style of Wes Anderson, you think of Grand Budapest.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point. As I go into my number 2, the top 3 films on my list ranked as Wes Anderson films are, you could look at them as the top 3 Wes Anderson film styled movies, and just they're all different from another, but it's his peak style where they're just attention to detail, different colors. It's amazing. So number 2 for me is going to be The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, with Bill Murray as the lead. He's in like every Wes Anderson movie, but he plays one of the leads here, and he plays Steve Zissou, and who's based off of who? I don't know. I have a book by him, but he's based off an actual like aquatic explorer, and I actually have a book by him that I got in St. Thomas, and it's really cool. And I read the first few pages, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm just reading The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, and it's so funny. And the movie, so Wes Anderson on the ocean, basically, and it is following Bill Murray and his quirky crew in their boat, as this guy makes documentaries, like sea documentaries, and he makes a really bad documentary, and the documentary ends with his friend being eaten by a jaguar shark. Okay. And they're like, it doesn't exist. They don't see the jaguar shark in the documentary, and basically everyone leaves being like, what was that? And he was like,
yeah, everyone is accusing Steve Zissou of faking these documentaries.
Right. And faking the documentaries because he just happens upon all these amazing things when he's making his documentaries. And so no one believes him about this jaguar shark. No one believes him that it ate his friend. So his whole next documentary that he's making, this is the whole film, is them trying to find the jaguar shark. And, you know, there's a great line at the start of the movie where he's like, well, he's being interviewed, and he's like, well, what are you going to do with what happens if you find the jaguar shark? And he's like, well, I'm going to kill it. and they're like, but what scientific purpose would that prove? He's like, revenge. Like it would
I killed my best friend.
Yeah, like I'm killing it for my friend. And they're like, wait, if this thing actually does exist, please do not kill it. He's like, no, I'm gonna go kill it. And right. The movie is so funny, and he has a rival in the film who's played by Goldblum, and he is so funny in the movie as well. And just, I can watch this movie over and over and over again, and it has some tragedy in it. It has oh, it's just so good. I love everything about this movie. It has a little bit of everything. It's pure peak quirky. The hats are super iconic that they wear. The suits are super iconic. Owen Wilson is like his long lost son, and he's in the movie, and they have such a funny relationship.
A pilot from Air Kentucky.
Yeah, and it's so funny.
Called Air Kentucky.
It's so funny because Willem Dafoe's in the movie, and he's like obsessed with Steve Zissou, and he wants to be his son.
He wants to be his son.
He just, Wes Anderson is so good at this family-esque dynamic, and like every line is just so good. So Number 2 for me, Life Aquatic with Steve
Yeah.
Zissou.
Life Aquatic is number one, and if I were to rank these movies straight, it'd be a toss up for me between Life Aquatic and Fantastic Mr. Fox in terms of my favorite Wes Anderson movie. The movie is incredibly hilarious. I was introduced to Bill Murray's Steve Zissou in Laramie, Wyoming at the Crowbar Pizza Parlor, where they had this 20 by 20 mural of, I knew it was Bill Murray, but at the time I'm like, what is Bill Murray doing in this ridiculous red hat? It's just this huge mirror that like this huge mural that was just in this random restaurant in Laramie, Wyoming, and I'm like, what the heck is it? Years later, I'm like, oh, this is Steve Zissou from Life Aquatic. And this movie is incredible. This is also showing off, obviously, like his, Wes Anderson's style. The stills are really what he's known for, but he is actually filming underwater to great effect in this movie, where I think that he's really showing off his like filming prowess. It's part of the joke where um, there is, you know, obviously a cinematographer who's there filming Steve Zissou, and also they're like, okay, we're gonna film it in this aspect ratio, and then it will cut to that aspect ratio in real life. Or hey, we're gonna do a shot like this. They're using all these like technical terms to describe what Wes Anderson and his cinematographers are doing behind the scenes,
Right.
and it's like it's a fun way of being, you know, I don't know that much about like the technical jargon of cinematography, but I learned quite a lot actually from watching this movie, which is incredibly fun. Um, Owen Wilson is just so funny
He's
in
so
this movie.
good.
You know, he has this southern accent. He is a pilot from Kentucky Air. It he so he spoiler
Don't,
on the
yeah,
movie.
maybe don't
Yeah, maybe we
spoil.
won't go there. But he meets Steve Zissou. He's like, "Hey, I'm your long lost son," and just that dynamic is tricky because like Steve Zissou, Bill Murray's character, never wanted to be a dad. He doesn't like the way that it goes. What he's like, "Don't call me dad, call me Steve Z," or just something
Steve's.
like absolutely ridiculous and hilarious. The colors are great. A lot of it is you the audience think that it's fake the whole time because he's like naming off these random
Right.
animals, and it does come to, you do end up finding out that Steve Zissou actually is not a marine biologist. He doesn't know that much about the sea. It's his wife, who's played by Helen Mirren, who is like the real brains behind the operation. And but then it's really hard to talk about the movie without spoiling it, but it is a beautiful movie. I think that it's between that and or that and Darjeeling Limited is
I think
like
it's
for me his top two.
Angelica Houston, not
Oh, you're
but
right,
which is fine.
Angelica
Angelica
Houston.
Houston's in a ton of his movies, so
Right, sorry, yeah, Angelica Houston, and I think it might be his funniest work too. I just think that it's so funny.
yeah,
It's one of my favorite Bill Murray roles, which is
yeah.
saying a ton. It's a
I
great
agree.
movie, Life
I do
Aquatic.
think it's probably the funniest. And I will say before we move on to my last one is you also get maybe the start and the best example of his set designs, where there's a scene where he's describing the interior of the ship, and he does this in many of his films where he's describing a setting, right? And
Hmm.
every room is built out and looks different, and he's panning through the entire ship, so you can imagine a ship actually just sawed in half
Hmm.
effectively, that they
It's a
built.
dollhouse method
Yeah,
almost.
dollhouse method, and he does it so well. It's so good. So I agree, funniest. I can see why it's your one for whimsy. It's amazing. So my number one overall film, I've seen it the most. I've probably seen it 10 times. I would teach this film, this in the entirety of this film, while I was teaching in high school, and kids would walk away just like with their minds blown from this movie. And I would basically walk them through like 30 seconds to a minute, pausing, saying, "Oh my gosh, do you understand what's happening here? Do you see the callback here? Do you see this? Do you see that? Do you see what's funny? Do you see that?" And they would walk away being like, "Oh my gosh, I never realized how much could be happening in a movie." That for me is Moonrise Kingdom. Moonrise Kingdom is so good. It is so funny, but it is so loving. I think it's my favorite. It's like one of my favorite love stories ever told. I convinced Lauren to let me put two images from the movie into our room because I love them so much. And it's about this romance between these two young people, Sam and Susie, and both have sort of estranged family lives. Sam is bounced from foster care to foster care, and now he's in this camp over summer. And Susie is this troubled child in her family. Bill Murray's the dad. And again, Edward Norton's, I mean, just an amazing cast all around. And basically they plan an escape runaway together. And they live on this super small island, and they plan this escape and they run off together. And you basically have both the families and the sheriff and everyone looking for these two kids the whole time while they are trying to go start their lives together. And Sam's like, I can be the man in this relationship. I just got my ropes badge, so like my knots badge, so like I can take care of us, babe. Trust me. And you see the adults in this film more than probably any. Well, that's an extreme, but they really act like children, and the children talk like adults, and they're so mature, and they're trying to be adults, and it's so good. I cannot say enough about this film. I could legitimately just do a 3-hour walkthrough on this film and the greatness of this movie. But it's my number one for sure. And I think it's amazing. So Moonrise Kingdom, favorite Wes Anderson film, coming from a Wes Anderson junkie here.
Yeah. Yeah, another one I haven't seen, so you've convinced me. I gotta go back and I gotta watch it.
It's a great one to watch with Jenna. It is so good. So anyways,
let's do a recap.
Yeah, recap. So I got from bottom to top, Asteroid City at 11, Isle of Dogs at 10, the Darjeeling Limited at 9, Bottle Rocket at 8, the French Dispatch at 7, Rushmore at 6. And then we get into S tier category here. Fantastic Mr. Fox at 5, the Royal Tenenbaums at 4, the Grand Budapest Hotel at 3, the Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou at 2, and Moonrise Kingdom at the top.
Yeah, and for me, in terms of Wes Anderson movies ranked via whimsy, number 7, Royal Tenenbaums, number 6, Asteroid City, number 5, Isle of Dogs, number 4, the Darjeeling Limited, number 3, Grand Budapest Hotel, number 2, Fantastic Mr. Fox, and number 1, The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou.
I think you got yourself a great whimsy list. I think really based on whimsy, I think you nailed that pretty dang well. I'd be interested. I think you gotta go watch the others now.
I gotta go watch the other ones, and I'll make like a short where I'm like amending my list.
We definitely need an amendment.
These would end up going, yeah.
But yeah, I know this episode went longer than our last few, like just over an hour. But it's Wes Anderson. He's like the GOAT of indies. So you all need to go watch Wes Anderson movies if you haven't seen them.
Yeah, and we look forward to talking about his newest movie, his 12th film, Venetian Scheme, on Wednesday.
All right. Have a great day. Remember to like, sub, and share. Bye-bye.